And we're back here with the Awaken with Maria podcast. I'm your host, Maria Christine, and I'm super excited to announce today's host or today's guest, Remy. Remy, it's so good to have you here. Remy and I actually, we've kind of like bounced in each other's circles. She is a powerhouse. She is a disruptor, which I'm going to let her share more on as part of her brand and everything that she does, which to me, I just think of like visual creation and magic that this woman puts together. But I'll never forget, almost a year ago, I signed up for one of Remy's mini offers. I wanted to like see what your work was all about. And I loved it. I had never heard anyone talk about branding and visual design from the perspective of creating a world for your people to enter. And as someone who also like identifies as mystical and woo and like kind of a spiritual entrepreneur, as I have like my imagery of like my gal here in like the galaxy and space, I loved this idea of like creating a brand world. And I really ran with that last year, kind of creating different worlds for different offers. So I'm really excited for this conversation, not to just talk to Remy about her zone of genius, which is amazing, but these conversations are also meant to be like pulling behind the curtain. Who is Remy? What is her story? How does she infuse her own intuition and wisdom into her business? So, Remy, welcome. Will you share a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Yeah, I love that introduction. That was something special, so thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm Remy and I am a creative director and brand strategist and founder of Disruptive Studios, which has just been rebranded, so I have to remember to keep saying that one. And the other side of the business is more like consulting as well. And yeah, I basically just help women who feel almost like they're too quiet to build a brand or too shy or not as confident as they should be, or they're not where they should. All the different excuses that we all tell them ourselves
Yeah.
help those people just become so well known for something globally.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is that I do think and I suppose there's earlier stages in business where people are just getting their feet wet, shall we say, but for those listening, likely you already have an established brand in business, you're already doing the thing. And I think we kind of forget that like the visual aspect of our brand and like this world that we create for our people, it goes beyond just, I think we all think of like, okay, I got my branding, I got my brand kit, I got my colors, I've got my fonts, I've got a couple Canva templates, like that's good. And I mean, sure, initially that can get you by. But will you go into, I mean, and also I'll have Remy's Instagram down below. I mean, you'll see the worlds that she creates with her clients and for her own brand. But will you tell me, like, for anybody who's like, oh, it's not just having like my brand kit, like, will you share a little bit more about what it means to be a creative director and how you like pull this out and support your clients in that?
I literally love this. I'm like, you're the best cheerleader in the world. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah, so basically I just came off a live about this same topic and I don't know where it came from, but everyone thinks of branding and they just think of visuals, or like I love when you said brand kit. That's
Yeah.
Canva's fault, that is.
Yeah.
And it is. And I think people feel if they've got a logo, a couple of colors, and one or two fonts, they've got a brand.
Yes.
But that's like the end result. We actually end with the visuals because unless you know like the first part of it, which is okay, we have to extract what makes you a genius in the first place. So what is it that kind of like lives in your DNA? It's already within you. It's the way you think, the way you move, the way you dress. It's how you're probably already operating. I would like extract that from you. Then once we have that, we can then bring that to life more. And this is where we start to play around with like concepts or names or symbols and touch points. And it's very spiritual because, which you'll love,
Yeah.
because it's always like somewhere around them. It's always tattooed on them. It's always like they've got a picture that they've had probably their whole life with this symbol on. It would just be like a sign that would just appear like how mine did with the lightning bolt.
Oh, yeah, I
And
love the lightning bolt
the
and
lightning
like
bolt.
your witch hat. I also think of like,
Yeah. And it always it's always there. And so once we've kind of started to form this, it's about what are you like really well known for and what do you do best
yeah,
versus all the other brands in your category? Because I think, yeah, we can have the vibes and the colors and all of this, but we actually do need to sell this thing and market it. And so once we have that, it's then how we can create more of this like alter ego, which I spoke about yesterday,
Yeah.
which is all around like for me, it's I'm not disruptive all the time. No one is like that. And so it's like I know how to just turn that tap on. I know how to think, okay, what would the disruptive version of Remy do?
Yes.
So then we can create the brand world, which includes the visuals, and then we can scale it. So can you see it's like unless we have these beginning bits, we can never go into the visual side of it.
I love it. I love it. There's like just in that I could like go 50 different ways. I'm feeling called to share though of like I think also why building this brand world. It's interesting how you say you have to start with the person. You have to start with the person first to extract the genius, extract, like you said, what's already in their DNA, what's like, as you were saying that, what's already tattooed on their
Yeah.
arms. Like,
There you
oh,
go.
that's why these themes keep coming up. So it starts with the human, but then you build the brand, you build the touch points, you build the color symbols, etc. So that I think you almost like you take some pressure off of yourself as the founder or, the main face of the brand because you said once you have the brand and what that world is, it doesn't mean you have to always be on as
Yeah.
that. It
Yeah, like
creates some
that.
separation from
The
me, the
amount of
founder,
people. Yeah.
and me, the disruptive brand that I am, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think that even helps some founders. Like, we get to have some separation. Like, yes, that's obviously created from us,
Yeah.
but it's separate from us too.
And it gives people just this like freedom to almost go, oh, I don't have to always show every tiny part of my life and be like, I hear it all the time. I'm not always confident. And I'm like, neither am I. I have days where I'm crying my eyes out. Like, doesn't mean I can't build a really well-known brand, but it's I
Yes.
know how to like when I make investments, it's like, what would she do? When I'm planning this event, it's what does the disruptor do? And it's kind of you create that world that then people who are in any of my programs, they want to become a disruptor too. So it's not
Yes.
just about you, it's then the knock-on effect it has for your community.
Yes, yes, because I think it's like hard to forget this in online brands and online businesses of what we're
Yeah,
creating, where like
yeah,
when you walk into, let's say, a Louis Vuitton, that's a
yes,
whole experience. And you
yeah.
walk in, and now the woman who walks into that store, she instantly holds herself differently, right? She like maybe wears a more elevated outfit to go shopping at Louis Vuitton. So like it's really more about her and what she gets in the store. And I think as online businesses, we forget, oh yeah, if I create this elevated world, it
Mm.
allows my client to like get a better transformation. It's not about me. It's about like I want her to step into my store and
Yeah, that's
feel
it.
like you said, ready to take on the world, ready to disrupt whatever that is. That's
And
so
it's the
cool.
same thing. I love how you use Louis Vuitton as an example because you can almost like play with your Instagram as a storefront almost. And so it's kind of yes, it can definitely look picture perfect and have all the graphics, which I do feel like is really important still. But it's
Yeah.
also as well when you go into Louis Vuitton, it doesn't stop there. And so it's the same as like once someone clicks on your post or then has a call with you, it's do they understand that in your world and in your world only they get to become this identity because that's what people are buying. They're not really
Yeah.
buying your mastermind. They're buying like
No.
the identity of who they get to become when they are in your mastermind.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is gold right there. That is gold right there. Rewind, go listen back to that. They're not just buying a mastermind. Nobody's just
No
buying
one
a
cares about a
mastermind.
mastermind.
No. They're just buying what they get from being in your
Yeah.
world and who they get to become.
Become. That's what people, and when you can become so clear on how you help people become that, which is probably some sort of like method, and it's also like allowing them to visually see that through your branding,
Yeah.
that's when this gap closes between I don't know who you are, what you do, to like I instantly get this and I want to be part of it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, Remy, I want to know now, like pulling behind the curtain, how did you land in this work? Did you always know that you were going to be in this creative direction? Did you have some kind of corporate background or somewhere where you were also like learning some of these skills? And then ultimately, like, how did you land into being the disruptor, into this being your gift that you share with the world?
So I always was creative, but I always blocked it because again, I didn't know what
Mm.
it was or what to do with it. And so I
Yeah.
applied to go to university, realized I didn't want to go and I was only going to party. I did not want to, I didn't need to get a degree, but and then I landed in a really good job with someone. He's quite big in the UK, and that was doing social media. It was graphics. It's still graphics, and
Really? So how long
yeah,
ago was this? So you actually started in social media graphics.
yeah, literally. That was I must have been about 18, and I'm 30 this year.
Oh
So
my gosh. Okay, yeah, so like 12 years ago you
yeah,
started this.
yeah,
Okay.
even probably a little bit younger. What take? Yeah, probably around about that time, and then realized that I love graphics. And then from there, it kind of spiraled and spiraled and kept going. And then fast forward, every career I had was always within like graphic design, social media, or working in London with like some different agencies, being in like rooms with agencies who came in. And the biggest job was around like the top London hotels, like a group of them. And one of my jobs was to basically do all their social media, but also to create a whole brand around like one of the biggest hotels in
Oh my
central
God.
London. So I saw it like, and I think
That's so
being in
cool.
person and watching like people from all around the world coming in to experience this brand, I learned a lot then. And yeah, I done
That's so
courses on
cool.
design, but
Yeah.
honestly, like you just learn like Photoshop. Like you don't really learn creative direction or anything like that. And then gone, sorry.
Well, no, that's what I was gonna say. I want to state out though that like yes, these jobs were teaching you like the technical skills, like it sounds like
Yeah,
behind some of that,
yeah, yeah.
but I want to say like I can just tell Remy with your essence, like you already came in with the creative drive. Like you said, you didn't really need to be taught that part as much as it just needed to be pulled out of you, right?
Exactly.
Like
But no
yeah,
one
like
did that. And I feel like because I was always in corporate life with like a lot of like
um,
men and just people that didn't want to really believe in you, it always just got shrunk down.
yes,
And
yeah.
it wasn't
Especially I'm
until I
sure being a
got,
female in those
uh,
rooms was just
especially in, yeah, corporate London, I guess it's like corporate America, to be
yeah,
honest. So,
yeah, yeah. Not much different.
yeah. And then I got made redundant in COVID. And then that was my big kind of, should I do this or should I not? And I knew, I think you always know for the last 3 years before that, I was just trying to get sacked. I was basically, I don't know how I didn't get sacked, to be honest. I was the
That literally
worst
sounds
employee.
exactly like your brand, the Disruptor. Like I was trying to just like disrupt enough so they would
I
let me go.
know. I didn't do hardly any. I don't know how, honestly, I don't know how I got away with it, but I just knew I cannot work for someone like this for my entire life. And just even, I remember coming home and sitting on that train every single day and just thinking, this is surely not life. Like, you have 21 days holiday, you work and have 2 days off, which you're then tired and recovering from. And
Yes.
then, yeah, got made redundant. And I was actually so happy.
Ah, just
And then, yeah, started doing kind of agent like freelancing work. Then I was like, no, I want to do my own thing. Then I got told I was going to be a business coach, and I was like, right, let's leave everything with the creative side behind and let's just become a business coach.
ah,
And so that's where I realized, I look back now, and yes, it's helped because it's kind of goes into branding and business is same.
yeah,
But yeah, I completely went in a different direction. And it wasn't until around probably 2 years ago that it all started coming back. So basically what I do now is how I started this business, but the middle chunk for 5 years was not anything to do with this.
really. And that's so interesting because I think that's not uncommon when you all of a sudden enter the online coaching world. And I know for me too, like I thought I was going to be this stress management coach or whatever, and then yeah, you see how other people are building in the coaching industry and like, oh, okay, that works. That works. That template, being a coach, being a business coach, whatever that is. And then realizing like, no, I'm actually a healer. I'm actually an oracle. I'm actually like I can't build what everybody else is building because that's not my blueprint, you know? And it sounds like you realized too in the last couple of years, like I'm not just your average business coach leading an average
No,
mastermind. You're a
no,
creative director. And I mean,
yeah.
Remy, I've seen some of your work and you actually do a great job of like um recording your work. So for example, I remember one of your biggest clients that you had on. I just remember it was on your stories and on your feed when you went to that woman's castle
Oh
and you were
yeah.
just like
That was
building
fun.
and creating and I was like that like not only that looks like Remy, like that looks like her work.
That was,
This
yeah, that was
looks
the first time. That was, I think that
amazing.
was one of the first jobs that I'd done in this role, because it wasn't until I launched my first event, which then everything started clicking into place. Because
Yeah.
Disrupt only was born when I was in Costa Rica, which was this time last year. So this is why I'm like, oh, what took me 8 years to land on, I want people to learn in like 8 days.
Yes. Yes. And actually, like, that's kind of the work that I've been in lately too, is like, how do we just get people, not that time matters, not that I know
Mm.
everybody's like, well, I want to know my purpose and I want to know it now and I want to get there faster. It's like, well, you're probably in it, whatever they're in for a reason.
Yeah.
But like you said, I think for those of us who feel like we've really landed in something we love, all we want to do is help more people like get into their thing.
Like
You know what I
collapse,
mean?
it is. I know everyone says collapse time, but it really is. It's basically what could, and that's why I love investing because,
Yes.
like, for example, I was looking at something to do with ads last night, and I was thinking she's done this for I don't know what 35 years. What would take that? That's taken her 35 years to master this. I want to learn it in I don't know 3 months. And so I'm like, of course, it makes sense because someone is so skilled in what they do. They've spent years refining it, and so it's
Yes.
kind of that's why investments, like, I feel like people look at it all wrong.
Agreed. Well, and I don't know about you guys because I know over in the UK and England you guys have university. I mean, I guess so in America I think what's interesting is nobody has any problem knowing that going from high school to college, which many
Mm.
do and will, they have no problem dropping 20K, 50K, 80K. I mean, I paid over 80K for my bachelor's plus my master's degree.
Wow,
No
really?
problem doing that though. No, you know what I mean? Nobody questions that. But, you know, when I wanted to make some bigger investments for my business, once I started my business, and, you know, that meant, you know, getting creative on where I was taking loans and funds and whatnot, you know, people are
Yeah,
like, oh no, that's crazy. And it's like, this is a fraction of what I
yeah,
paid for my master's degree. And nobody questions that here. So why would we
yeah,
question someone going all in on their dream and their
yeah.
business? But it is such a different, you know, lens, I think people view it from.
Yeah. It is, it's silly, but I guess it's kind of I feel like a lot, even family, friends, all of that is kind of they would not get it. But if I said I'm just going to start a degree, they would thank me. They'd probably throw a party for me.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So I feel like, I mean, just I think even as female founders, we're still just disrupting, right? Like
Yeah,
the
always.
norm.
Yeah, always.
Uh, okay. So Remy, I love it. So ultimately, your journey landed you in this, and it also just feels like, which I always tell my clients too, when you land in your purpose, doors just open up, opportunities just arise.
Oh,
You and I also both know though there is some shadow work that comes with this. There is the identity work that comes with this because we you can easily shut yourself off to
yeah,
opportunities and things if you're still in certain belief systems. So can
yeah.
I ask what has been some of the deeper identity work that you've had to lean into, whatever you want to share on that, but I think it's easy to like see someone like you, Remy, now and be like, "Oh, that had to have been so easy for her. That's amazing. She's blowing it up right now," which of course you are. But can you share what are some of the obstacles or just the inner things that you've had to also deal with or shift?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm laughing because I'm like, where do I start? I would say the number one thing that comes to my mind is just before my first event last year. And not many people had done an event in London. And so I had no
Mm.
proof. I didn't really go to any. I don't know what came over me, but I just thought, let's just do it because it's now or never. And that was a thing that absolutely catapulted my business. But from an identity point of view, I was just running myself into the ground. And I look back now and I'm not angry at it because I think if I didn't do all those hours, I wouldn't have got to where I've got to.
Yeah.
But I've had to massively overcome like people pleasing, what biggest people pleaser. And then when they're in person, it's a whole nother thing because you can physically be with them.
Yes. Yes. And you can feel everybody. Yeah. Like everybody's going to have their thoughts, perception of all of it. All of it.
Everything. And so that was it. And then it was also just a big part of my story, I think, was wanting external validation. And I find this a lot with creatives. They kind of look for this validation. And I'm still like unraveling this all now. And I feel so much better. And it's interesting now I'm doing the third event, how it compared that person to the person that ran the first. I don't actually really care if people come and they don't like it because I'm not needing their validation. So that's been a
Yeah.
huge thing for me is the validation piece.
That is
I mean,
huge. That
I
is
can keep
huge.
going if you want.
No, like, thank you for sharing that because I think more women need to hear it. That's the thing. We have to know that when we're founders, when we go first, when we want to disrupt patterns in our own industry, it's gonna feel uncomfortable. It's gonna
Mm,
feel like nobody else has done this before because you are forging the path. And I
mm,
think even then, like you said, our oldest wounds can come up. And I know for many of us, creatives, high achievers, I was
yeah.
just talking to another fellow female founder friend, and I was raised by parents who they gave a lot of external praise. Good job, nice job, oh,
Yeah.
great job. And like that sounds great, but it wasn't because unfortunately I got like programmed to think
Yeah.
I need that external
So
validation.
true. I think a lot of us do, and it's not really spoken about until
No.
you're made aware of it. And I feel like when someone first said it to me, I was thinking, you're wrong. You're wrong. But now I'm like, no, you're right. And I think so that you have to do the work to really validate yourself first,
Yes.
so that
Yes.
you don't look for that. Because if you do, that's where I found I then started to bend so many boundaries for clients. I
Yes.
started to just over deliver, which then had an impact on I was working 7 days a week for months, which then
Oh,
impacts your health and then it impacts your nervous system and then it just goes on from there.
yes.
It's such a
Yes.
spiral when you're looking externally for someone to validate you.
100%. Because like you said, then you will bend over backwards to
Yeah.
get it. And then you ask yourself, was that even worth it? Like, the physical, the mental, the emotional toll.
Uh,
So it's such a reason why we as founders, no matter what stage you are in your business, but honestly, even especially if you've landed, you've got a big brand, you've got visibility, you've got followers and clients and whatever, like even then we have to be so aware of our shadow because it can be sneaky and it can
yeah.
be like, no, 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 I'm just trying to like, keep my
Yeah.
clients happy. It's like, yeah, and right?
Yeah, it's like there's always something underneath that, and I agree, and it's like I feel like you can never get to where you want to get to. Like it massively capped me because I physically had no more time in the
Yes.
day, and I feel like you can never scale and have time. Like yeah, you could scale, but you'd have zero time. You can't
Yes.
have time and scaling if that is like the driving force of your business almost.
100%, 100%. So just don't neglect the the inner work, the identity
Yeah,
work.
always keep checking in. Like that's the number one thing I actually have really
Yes.
started to do is keep checking in on, are you doing this because you want that person to validate you, or are you doing this because you really want to? Because sometimes I do go
Yes.
above and beyond. And I think again with anything design wise, I am a perfectionist. And sometimes it comes from a good energy, but it's making sure that it is coming from a good energy, not because you're afraid of that person saying something.
Yes, agreed. Oh, I can just so relate to that because I'm in my business and I also landed in another role where I'm supporting another business doing some consulting work with them.
Ooh,
And same, I did have to notice when it was like people pleasing, like, oh, I just want to run in and I want to like help them, but just because I want that external validation
yeah.
versus it's like I want to point out, I will say those of us like when we're in our zone of genius and passion, I can pour a whole night of work into something, but not out of
Yeah,
needing
I see
anything,
it. No,
but it's
and it's
because
you're
it's like
lit up. Yeah.
creative flow and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, 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 yeah.
excited.
Yeah,
So
it's
like
like
you
the
said,
best feeling.
we have to just be aware. Is this coming from like, no, I'm just giving because it's pouring out of me and I want to complete this project with them? Or like, no, 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 I'm doing this kind of out of resentment and I'm hoping to get like a
Yeah, it's
good
so
job.
true. And it's I would love to have just recorded my whole life for the last 3 years, like on a documentary, because I'd look at that version of me and be like, oh, you're so cute. And
Yeah,
you have to give her love. You do. But
100%.
it's also like this is why the whole alter ego that I talk about comes into it so well, because I have this, well, I done this visualization once where this higher version of me was sitting at an airport and she had all like white on. So every time I'm going through this, oh, you have to say yes to this person or you're getting overwhelmed. Like I used to get massively overwhelmed because I was like, I want to have everything look so good, but then I just froze. So
Yes.
then it's tapping into that alter ego of your brand to think, okay, what would that higher version disruptor do? And
Yes.
that makes decisions so much easier and quicker.
100%. And honestly, you have beautifully landed into like my next question. That was beautiful because as a founder, one, we want to be aware of when the fear and the doubt comes up and have tools for like working through that, whether that's within yourself or having mentors help you with it.
Yeah.
But then that leads us into, because the more you deal with that stuff, but also then the more you get to access your higher self, your
Yeah.
intuition, your inner wisdom, which I know a lot of people, like everybody's still trying to tangibilize that. And it's one of my favorite conversations to have. But you just described, Remy, one of your practices that you do. For example, like, okay, notice, is this fear or doubt? Or can I tap into that alter ego, that higher self, Remy, that kind
Mm.
of leads your brand? What are some other ways that you began tapping into and connecting with your own inner tuition to be the driving force in your business versus, having the people pleaser in the driver's seat.
Yeah. I think the first thing that came to my mind was the right clients. Like there was a part of my business from years back where I love them all dearly. They're great humans, but it was just not aligned to what my purpose was. And I look back and I think that was just stripping away any connection to my intuition because I was ignoring it. There was so
Yeah.
many nudges to be like, you don't like this. You should not be doing this. So why are you doing it? And
Yes.
it being completely blunt, I was doing it for the money. And
Yeah.
so it was just it I look back now and I was thinking, no wonder I wasn't lit up and my work wasn't getting so it's like spread across the internet because it wasn't aligned to what I was doing. So
Yeah. And
the
you were like,
client
these are the people, like, they don't like me up.
no, yeah, yeah. And it was just I couldn't use my best skills, which I was born with, on them. And again, it's like there was a time and a place and they're great and they got good results. But I think it's the client piece, I think attracting the right clients and charging your worth is so important. Like that was a game changer.
Yes.
Um, and actually recently, when I came off the back of Susie and Caroline's retreat, that's what I realized is a lot of the time it comes from like your womb space creativity. And I'm quite new to all this. So
Yeah.
that allowed me, like I switched off. I barely went on my phone that whole weekend. I think we meditated literally every single day. And so I
So
was
good.
in another world at one point. And then I feel like that is making sure that I don't always stay in this logical thinking mode of doing, and allowing more time, like going to the spa every morning to tap back into
Yes.
that the womb and the creative side of it and just a trust in it. I think being on this Vogue course has massively helped because I'm around people who are art directors of Vogue in Mumbai, Hong Kong, like huge, huge fashion houses, and watching how they think, and they are just messes, like their background's messy, everything's messy, but
Yeah.
they are the most creative people because they're so tapped into just their gifts almost. So
Yes.
that has helped getting out of this head and into your body, which you
Oh.
probably agree with.
100%. I mean, yeah, Remy, you've landed in it, which is that like, that phrase. I'm like, I've never said that phrase before. You've landed in it because I think we spend so much time in our head,
Mhm.
right? And as women especially, all this mental energy, all the thoughts, all the thinking. And then ironically, what a lot of people don't realize too, you have this natural intuitive knack about you. So what people actually don't realize, because people are like, I don't really think I'm that intuitive. And it's like, well, actually, you've got a lot of mental energy going on, and actually your crown chakra is wide open. You're actually so intuitive. The problem is though, all of that's up here and we haven't landed in it. We haven't landed in it. And so now you're like, I can just kind of see that
I
shift
love
happening
it.
within you, Remy, is that like that's what most people miss. A lot of women think like I'm not intuitive because I can't whatever access up here like our upper realms and stuff. But ironically, it's that so many of us high achievers, people pleasers, we're so up here that we haven't brought it down back into the body. We
Yeah,
haven't
that
grounded
fully
it.
makes sense. And how do you get your clients to like ground into it and bring it from up here into the
Yeah,
body?
yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is, like you said, for example, a lot of that womb work,
Mm,
or, so womb is technically like our sacral chakra,
mhm.
right by our pelvic area. For me, where a lot of women actually, where we need to start first is the root chakra. So right down by our coccyx area, like where you feel your bottom hitting the chair right now.
Yeah.
Ironically, so many of us, because of who we had to be when we were younger, the high achievers, the perfectionists, whatever, to be honest, we are so out of our root. Like we're so scattered. We don't actually have that deep groundedness. So I do a lot of work. It's funny because, yeah, when some of my clients work to me and we're doing that deeper intuitive work, they think we're going to do a lot up here. Like, open up my crown and help, and I do that. We do some activations up here for sure, but ironically we actually have to spend a lot of time on the root and rooting down and feeling safe being in the body, because then it's like, oh, now the intuitive things get to come through me and I can move on them and I can act on them. So
Wow.
you're already like naturally landing into that. But just to point out to people that tuning into your higher self and your inner wisdom, you can't ignore the fear. You can't ignore the doubt. You can't ignore the, why do I have a hard time just sitting in my body and being? Because that's a huge part of the equation.
That was me. I really, honestly, I couldn't. If you met me 2 years ago, every time someone wanted me to do like a meditation, I was like, this is so boring. I don't want, and it's because I just couldn't do
Yes.
it.
And that was me. And I will say that's the one other thing that I do differently with kind of like go goer high achievers is I oftentimes I don't start right in like I don't know, like forced meditation because I know how hard that is initially because again, you're not rooted into the root. And so I love, for example, I keep this frankincense around. Frankincense, for anybody listening, if you are a busy goer and you just want a way to start to feel more anchored and grounded in your body, but sitting for a 10-minute meditation makes you want to bawl your eyeballs out and you're like, no way. I love frankincense because it's a very grounding smell. And I usually just start with clients by saying, do 3 breaths. Inhaling, letting it go. Because what's so interesting with smells specifically is it instantly taps you into your nervous system. It's one of the fastest ways we can get into our
Really?
body.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's really
So
cool.
I usually start with something like that, or I'm sure you have some kind of exercise or movement, Remy, that you maybe enjoy or love, whether that's dancing, walks, or Pilates or
Yeah.
yoga or whatever it is. But there's a reason why movement is such a invitation for those of us who like to go.
Uh,
Movement can be
that's
another
very, I
beautiful
feel like
invitation.
sound as well. Like when I was in the sauna this
Yes.
morning, there was some like bells playing in the background, and
Ooh,
instantly, and you know what? The ice bath game changer. That
yes.
massively just turns his head off.
Yes, it just brings you right in.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, yes. So these are just some ways that we can start tapping into that higher self and inner wisdom. And it seems counterintuitive because you're like, well, wait, I want the ideas to flow, but it's like, yeah, I know, but you got to get into your body first.
So, and that's what I feel like people sit and say to me, I've just got nothing. I don't know. And I can tell instantly that they're thinking here, not through their body. In the minute that they then tap into their body, it's kind of the weirdest stuff comes through.
Yes.
But that's
Yes.
what makes them rich.
Well, and what's interesting too, Remy, I think part of your gifts is and this is funny for all of us that are founders, creatives, we have our zone of genius that it comes so naturally when we're doing it with others, right? Like I'm sure you can instantly see someone and you can
Yeah.
start to see their gifts and how you want to bring that through into a world. Whereas
Yeah.
like we're our own biggest blind spot, it's like harder to sometimes see that for ourselves because
Yeah,
we're
so
so
true.
close to it. So I just think with your work, you just seem to have such a beautiful way of being able to tap into someone and help them bring whatever it is into life, into that visual world creation,
Yeah.
which
I
is so
love, and
good.
that's what I feel like people again, like it is quite hard to talk about because until you've experienced it, it is hard to put into like language, but it is that it's kind of, yeah, a brand's nice to have, but it's like who it gets to allow you to become
Yes.
is what changes it for people. It's kind of once you're known for not just your name and like this whole brand, I think of almost like Charlotte Tilbury, how she does it. And do you have Charlotte Tilbury in the US,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes,
Like she kind of is a little bit, but even how Beyonce would step into like her alter ego self.
yes. Agreed. Agreed. And I think the more we give ourselves permission, kind of where we started the conversation, that yes, you're meant to like be pulled through and become the brand, but then also there's some separation from the brand. Like, right,
Yeah,
Beyonce and Sasha Fierce, I think that's her alter
yeah, yeah,
ego.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm sure that's different than just Beyonce at home with her family, right? And like
Exactly. And I think
that's
that's what people get so caught up on, and then they go to create content, and they're like, I have to do everything on content and share my whole weekend. And I'm like, if anything, that's actually watering down your brand because then
yes,
people are, yes, there's a time and a place for a personal brand, but at the end of the day, they need to keep being reminded of what your brand solves most
yes,
and how you can then basically put that through different types of content. So when you're then relying on like motivation, and we all have it, like some days where you just think I've got nothing to post. But
yes,
that's why I think when we just relying on motivation and how we're feeling that day, it actually then waters down what our brand is known for. It's like Lululemon, if the founders
yes,
started posting like whatever on Lululemon's brand, people probably will be like, what is this?
yes, 100%. Okay, this has been so fun. This has been such a good conversation. Remy, I could talk to you for hours, but what are some ways, and I'll be sharing some things down in the show notes as well, anything you link, but how can women, because you are a genius at this. I will say, after just attending one workshop with you, I'm just like, I already was like lit with ideas. So, for anybody listening and they want to dive deeper into their business and how to bring forth this brand world, again, what are some best ways to connect with you? What are some things that you have open right now? And, or again, for those that are, well, actually, you don't even have to be local to your area. I'm sure they could fly to your event, but like, what are some things coming up for you?
Yeah, so if you are local to London or you can get to London for the 14th or 15th of May, then I would absolutely love to have you there. And if not, then I've got a retreat in Greece, which is happening in October now, which
Oh
is going
my
to be amazing. Where you get to become your own creative director, which is fun. And then if not, then brand shoots like campaigns, which again can be all over. And
yeah.
then if you want something more online, then there's Pulse, which is more of my signature program, or one-to-one work. So just DM me and we can decide what's best
I
for you.
I love it. And I will be dropping her Instagram handle down below so that you can reach out. And honestly, I just recommend going to check out her page because she is like she walks the walk. Your page is so fun and how you infuse brand. Anybody can be motivated and inspired by the work that you're doing, Remy. So thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
coming on to the Awaken with Maria podcast. It's been so good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so fun.
All right. And until next time, have an amazing day.